Hello and welcome. In this video we're going to cover the if, elif and else statements. So what I'm going to do is I will work on two different examples that will show you what this is used for and what's the purpose of it, and then of course we're going to build upon the knowledge that we've acquired in the previous tutorial. So I'm going to start by creating a completely empty list, and I'm going to fill it with numbers between 1 and 100. So for I in range 1 up to but not including 101, I'm going to append that value to the list. So I'm going to print the list now, and it should have 100 elements starting from 1 up until 100. So for every element that's in the range starting from 1 up until but not including 101, I want to take that element and append it to the list L. So now we have a list with 100 elements. Now what I want to do is I want to print all the numbers that are even. Well, how I would do that is for every number in list, so for I in list, or we can say for number in L, if after dividing the number with 2 there is no remainder, and this is equal, the double equals signs, it basically indicates if what we have on the left side is identical to what we have on the right side, then we would like to print the number plus string of number plus is an even number. So what this means is after dividing it with 2, basically there is no remainder, and this percentage sign is what we use to find the remainder. Then we might say, well, if that's not the case, else print the number plus string of the number plus is an odd number. And if we run this script, what we're going to have is one line of output for each number in the list. So if it's an even number, we will have the sentence that the number is even, otherwise we'll have a sentence that the number is an odd number. And as we can see, it works fine. And what else we can do is we can have multiple of criteria. So for example, if the number is equal to, well, basically if there is no remainder and number is greater than 50, we might print that it is an even number and greater than 50. Now we might want to have multiple scenarios. So for example, in this one we have an even number that's greater than 50. Then maybe we want to have elif if the number divided by 2 has no remainder and the number is lower than 50, then we want to print, well, basically a similar output, except that of course it is lower than 50. And then if that's not the case, for example for the odd numbers, well, we just don't care. Now this is partly true, but there's one number that we're missing, and that's the number 50, because, well, it is an even number, but it will not fit in this criteria because it's not over 50, but it will also not fit in this one because it's not lower than 50. So if we take a look at the number 50, we can see that we get 3 sentences for odd numbers. Now the 51, of course, it's incorrect, and this is the risk that we are basically accepting by using the else statement. Of course, the way we can avoid this, if we have another elif statement for the numbers that after dividing by 2 have a remainder of 1. That means that these numbers are basically odd numbers, and in that case we want to print this statement, and then we might have an else. Now this would print, well, the number plus string of the number plus is a very strange one. It doesn't fit in any of the criteria above. So this is maybe in the else bucket. We would like to have the ones that for some reason we did not include up here. So let's print it out and let's see if this works. let's take a look at number 50. So the message that we get is, well, here we need one more space. So I'm going to reprint this. But we can see that it says that the number 50 is a very strange one. Well, of course, that's the output that we wanted to have. Not that the number is strange, but just because it doesn't fit in our criteria. Now, another example that we will run over in this tutorial is, as you know, in multiple countries, well, I would not say all because I don't know if that's true for all, but there is an age limit for entering a bar. And let's say that we have an age limit that is equal to 21. Now what we're going to do in this example, we're going to ask the user for their age. So the age of the user is basically their input to the question, how old are you? And then we are going to compare the two. And we're going to say, well, if the age of the user is greater or equal to the age limit, then he can go into the bar. Otherwise, he has to wait for some years, 1 to 5, we'll see. So what I'm going to do is, if the age of the user is greater than the age limit, we would like to print access granted, you may go in. Else, if that's not the case, we would like to print sorry, you have to wait. And then we can make some calculation, for example, the age limit minus the age of the user. And again, we have to have this as a string, so it's the same data type as the other ones, plus years. So what this will do is, for example, we have 19. Well, sorry, you have to wait 21 minus 19, which is 2, so you have to wait 2 years. Now, the first error that we will run to if we run this code is the input of the user is a string. So if we run this, we will get an error regarding this part because it's trying to check if the age of the user, which is a string, is greater than the age limit, which is an integer. So I'm going to run this just for learning purposes, but again, let's see. Let's say 25, and then again, as I said, on line 4 we get this error. So how do we fix it? Well, we need to convert the input into an integer. Now, by doing this, we solve that problem. But if we have if the user age is, let's say, 21, then this one would not be true because it's 21 is not greater than 21. So what we might do is the age limit, in this case, we might just either decrease it here by 1, or the age limit we might have here 20. So if the age of the user, for example, we have 21, is greater than 20, that's fine. So 21 is the lowest number of years you need to be alive in this case to go inside and to get this access granted. And if that's not the case, we need to print this. Now, printing this part would be a bit, well, it would be incorrect. If the user is 20, we would get age limit 20 minus age of the user 20. So we would get, sorry, you have to wait 0 years. Now there are two things that are wrong with this. One is that waiting 0 years means you should not wait because there's no years to wait. And the second part is that years is plural. So first we're going to adjust this age limit here by adding plus 1. So we would have 20 plus 1, so 21 minus the age of the user. So this part would be solved, so this calculation would be correct. But then if we print this and the user has 20 years, we would get, sorry, you have to wait 1 years in plural. And in this case, this is something that we can use the elif statement. So elif, the age of the user is equal to 20, and this is the only case where the user has to wait exactly 1 year. We're going to print, sorry, please come back next year. And else is basically, well, if the user is not older than 20 or is not 20, then he has to wait for more than 1 year. So having it in plural, that's completely fine. So I'm going to print this, and I'm going to start and to check it with 3 different ages. So with 25, access granted, you may go in. If I check with 20, sorry, please come back next year. And if I check with, let's say, someone who's 10 years old, he tries to enter the bar, sorry, you have to wait 11 years. And this is basically everything that you need to know regarding if, elif, and else statements. So you have one if statement, you can have multiple elif statements, and you can have one else statement. So whatever doesn't fit in the if or elif or multiple elif statements would go to the else bucket. And I hope this tutorial made it clear for you. If you enjoyed these videos, please click the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.